From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with Louie B.
Yes, it is Ticats Today for a Thursday, February the 24th, 2022. Yes, I am Louie B. Thanks so much for checking us out on the Ticats Audio Network. Lots to get to on today's show. As you may remember, on last week's edition, we sat down with Orlando Steinauer, the head coach of the Ticats. Well, this week we're sitting down with the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator, and that is Tommy Condell and Mark Washington, respectively, and they'll be joining us coming up in just a little bit. Some news and notes to get to around the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Last week, as we were coming on the air, we let you know that the Ticats had signed David Ungerer III. And I'll let you know I had a chance to catch up with David Ungerer III earlier this week, and you can catch our interview at ticats.ca and on the Ticats Audio Network. Earlier this week, the Ticats made a big signing announcement. Tadhg Leader, maybe not big, but an interesting one, because Tadhg Leader is his name, and he is from Ireland and has only been playing football a few years, but Ticats really high on this guy. He has been signed as a kicker and a punter, and he's making a name for himself already, quite literally, as we learned how to pronounce his name when we caught up with him this week, and you can catch that full interview up at ticats.ca or on the Ticats Audio Network, wherever you're listening here. But I do want to get this clip because I was interested, and I'm sure you are too, how a rugby guy from Ireland ends up in Hamilton playing football, and how you get involved in gridiron football anyway. And he gave this response.
So playing rugby, it's a fantastic sport, but kicking, it's the act of kicking is what I love doing. For Christmas off Santa Claus, I'd get like a little tee to practice my kicking, rugby balls to practice the kicking, and I go kicking Christmas Day. So I just love kicking. And once I found out in football, hopefully I won't have to get hit a whole lot, all going well, and I can just be kicking and punting and things like that. So that was a huge attraction for me. And then just the sport itself, growing up in Ireland, again, it's not major, but I would have been playing Madden and things like that and watching games. So I was always interested by the sport. And that once I knew there was a potential avenue for me to go down it, I just jumped in. And as I said, thankfully, kind of here we are.
That is the newest member of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. His name is Tadhg Leader. Nicknamed Tiger. He's got tiger cleats, he was saying, as well, and excited to be a member of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and can't wait to see him once training camp kicks off in just a few short months. Yeah, believe it or not, March right around the corner. After March comes April, after April comes May. That's how the calendars work. And then May, training camp. And then the season. It's so close, but let's get through the next couple of weeks here. All right, just wrapping up the news and notes part of the show here. I did want to let you know that our friend Chris Van Zeyl is doing something pretty cool this weekend, and I mean that literally, as he has made a commitment to go sleepless in our cities. It's an event put on by the United Way of Halton and Hamilton, and for the second year in a row, Chris Van Zeyl, our very own Fawn Hill boy, is going to be taking part. He's going to be sleeping in his car, all in support of the United Way of Halton and Hamilton. And we talked about it. We talked about football as well. We talked about our moms running into each other at the local Sobeys in our hometown. But I did have a chance to catch up with Chris Van Zeyl earlier this week. That full interview, again, at ticats.ca or on the Ticats Audio Network. But it was mainly focused on the event, which is on Friday. And for more information, go to our ticats.ca, go to my Twitter account. You can find the link to donate to a really great cause. But we were talking mostly about that, but I did have to ask him a football question, and it concerned the offensive line and just, what he's feeling, seeing the guys who have signed back, seeing some of the new bodies they've brought in, how he's feeling about going into 2022. Here's what he had to say.
There's a level of excitement for those that are coming back and for the new faces that I'm going to see come May, I think 11th or something like that anyways, come May. It's very exciting. Anytime you get to talk about football and getting back into it, it's very exciting. And it's pretty cool to see some new faces coming in, but it's also great to see the old guys, some of the old, maybe not so old, the only old guy, but see some of the guys that have been around come back. So
That is Chris Van Zeyl, as we caught up with him. And again, go to our Ticats.ca page, go to my Twitter account, go to Chris Van Zeyl's Twitter account at CVZ54, and make a contribution if you can to Hamilton, Halton, and Hamilton Sleepless in Our Cities event. And that's going on Friday night, so it's going to be a frigid night in his car for Chris Van Zeyl, and great for him for doing this for a second year in a row. Still ahead on Ticats today, we're going to be joined by the offensive coordinator of the Hamilton Ticats. Lots to get into with Tommy Condell. I haven't talked to him in quite some time, but right now, let's talk defense. And to do that, who better than the defensive coordinator of the Ticats? That's Coach Mark Washington. And Coach, we talked about this with O last week, how there's a plan. Sometimes things go according to plan, sometimes they don't. On your side of the football, how well did things go to plan?
Well, I'm very pleased with the plan, and I was very pleased with the execution of it and how things, went about when it came to free agency. I thought between Drew and Ed and Zim and O himself, they put a really good plan together to target some players that'll come in that we thought will guys that will want to be in a building and will want to come in and execute and perform at a high level here. And we believe that, we got the guys that will be able to do that. And so, I'm excited to see these guys come into camp and compete and get busy and start to formulate this defense.
It's fair to say the one word I continually hear, whether it's going into training camp, going into a new season, throughout the season, it's compete or competition. And it doesn't matter if you're someone who's been on this team for 4 or 5 years, you feel like you put in the hours, or you're somebody who just signed, you're expected to compete. How do you create that atmosphere that, guys who have been here are competing and aren't feeling kind of let down, and new guys know that they have a spot to earn on the team?
Well, that's in the actual nature and fabric of football. This is a competition-based business, and everybody earns merit. You've earned a certain spot and level, but at the same end of the day, there's always competition. Whether you're competing against yourself, competing against the other guys trying to take your spot, or obviously ultimately you're going to be competing against another team. So in every step of football, there's some type of oppositional competition that's needed and to have a proper evaluation. So our guys know and they understand that, all right, every year you're here to compete, because at the end of the day, it's our job to get the best 12 guys on the field. And, and if you really want to be a part of this thing, then you want the best guys on the field, and if that means to compete in order to prove yourself and you believe that you're that guy, well, that's exactly what we want, And so competition is the thread, it's the common thread that goes throughout all professional sports, I believe.
All right, let's go through your positional groups here. Let's start in the D line, as you made a big splash in Micah Johnson. You got guys like Dylan and Teddy back, J.R. Tadhg. When you look at that defensive line, you got to be excited about what you're going to be able to do with that. But there is questions about rotation. So when you look at the guys you have there, what are you thinking right now?
Thinking that we have some really dynamic players. I'm thinking that we have some men who are committed to getting better and working and grinding throughout the entire season. I see men who want to make plays, who want to work with one another and understand the importance of, all right, as a defensive line, they're individuals, but yet, you have to work as a unit. And I see guys who understand that and are committed to doing that, and whatever it takes for us to win a game. And so I get excited when I see those guys. We have experience, we have youth, we have speed, we have size. We pretty much have it all.
Your linebacker crew, getting all three guys back for another season, getting Simone, getting Jovan Santos, and Cam Kelly under contract heading into 2022. You had consistency at that position group throughout 2021. Now to have it going into 2022, what does that give you as a coordinator and the positional coaches? What does that give you guys going into this new season?
Well, it's good for us to have some consistency. When you look back, and I give Sim a lot of credit, because if you look back over the years, he's worked with a new middle linebacker every year for the last, I want to say 5 years or something like that. And so him to be able to work with a guy 2 years in a row, they're only going to build. I think him and Jovan, they really mesh well together. And then Cam came along, and obviously the three of them really, really mesh well together. So that's a part of the plan that we have going forward, is having that consistency. Guys who play with each other, guys who want to play with one another, and then to add people in the mix like Alden Darby. These all of these men are going to come in and compete and make us better. And I'm excited, man, because I believe we're going to have ourselves a pretty good base up front.
You mentioned Darby among the additions. You got Jamal Rollback, you got Tunde back, you got Carriel back. Then you go out and get a guy like Richard Leonard. And, when I talked to Richard after he had signed, he really emphasized just how much he wanted to be here in Hamilton. What does that mean to you as a coach to have him in 2019? He goes somewhere else. He finds the grass isn't always greener, which is sometimes the case, but that he wanted to come back to what you guys had done in 2019.
Well, I believe that's a testament to the program that's been built here. And, that's a credit to O. That's a credit to everybody from Caretaker Bob all the way through. Guys want to be here. And when guys want to be here, we want to welcome them here and welcome them back. Obviously Rich is a really skilled player. I'm excited to have him back. That's one of the first things we talked about when we talked was, Coach, I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to have him back, and I think he's going to help solidify us in the back end.
And then just, we talked about some additions, but there are guys who were on this team last year as rookies who I have to think that you're expecting to see them make a jump, whether it's in what they do in their offseason, how they train. So a guy like Stavros or a guy like Mason Bennett, I mean, you got to be excited about those developments and just what they can come into camp with as experienced players going into a new season.
Well, this is going to, obviously with a new year, everything is new, but for these guys, it's going to be strange in that, all right, we're still in the COVID world, right? We're still living with those realities. But the season was really, really different last year, from having everything from Zoom and everybody's walking around with masks. And I mean, it's a different setting. And hopefully this year we won't have to have those type of settings around here. I think guys are training differently, because they know for a fact that we're coming into a season. I don't think there's going to be any delays. Hope that there isn't any delays in the season. So guys know, all right, here's the date. Let me get busy. And their training is affected by that. Then you also expect them to come in a year more mature, not only personally, but obviously on the field and professionally. So when these guys have an opportunity to come in, all right, now when they're here and now there's time to show this development. And I think we'll see it. Hopefully we'll see it early and often throughout the season.
And just one more before I let you go. What are you up to now? What's a coordinator do kind of in this? There's combines coming up. There's regional combines coming up. But what are you up to, Coach?
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the time of year that, coordinators, we sort of bunker in, you know what I mean? And we come into our labs and our bunkers or whatever, and we just, sort of like a beautiful mind in here. You get writing on the board and, you're looking at tape and, you're coming up with ideas and schematic things and, you're calling people, you're talking to them, and you're just putting together a plan for the year. And so we're sort of, in bunker mode right now. And, you just sort of close the door, throw the music on and just see what develops. So this is actually a very valuable time of year because you get yourself ready. You're preparing yourself for the marathon that you're about to face in a couple months.
Like a scientist in the lab. I will let you get back to work, Coach. Thanks so much for doing this. Always great to catch up with you.
No problem. Thanks, Louie.
And from the defensive side of the ball, we turn our attention now to the offense, and very pleased to be joined by the offensive coordinator of the Ticats, Coach Tommy Condell. And Coach Tommy, it's been a while since you and I have caught up, so I just want to ask, how you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome. Obviously, it has been a while. I mean, last time I saw you, your coif of hair was all over the place. Now look at that thing. It's beautiful. Of course, I'm a little bit challenged with that, so that's the first thing I see. So I'm excited to see you, Louie. It's been a while.
It absolutely has. A lot has happened since then. But let's start with kind of the first move that you guys made in the offseason. That was bringing back Dane Evans. And we know the story. We know the competition. You and him obviously have a special relationship. Just what is that relationship? And how crucial was it for you as the offensive coordinator to get him back to lead this offense?
Any relationship, it always goes back to the players and coaches getting to know each other in a way that just covers not just football, but how that person ticks and things of that nature. So it was good to get Dane back because we worked, and now it's, I guess, been 3 years. So, we were able to work together pretty darn well the last couple of years with the rest of it, and also with the quarterback room. It's a special group, and I'm just happy to be able to work with him.
Yeah, and Dane was telling us that him, Jalen, Matthew, they all worked out before, and they're all really, excited to get back in the room together in the classroom and learn from each other. But there were some other changes on offense, and starting with the receiving group, bringing in a guy like Lamar Durant. Is it safe to say he has the potential to be a ratio buster player, a guy that it can go out there and put up big numbers while also representing a Canadian spot?
We're really excited about him on offense, and as a team, he's a guy that can not only do it from the inside, but he also can go outside. So he's multiple, which is exciting for us. Getting a chance to watch him, since he's come into the league and played at Calgary, then he went on and went to BC. He's been making plays since then, and getting a chance to, we even have evaled him when he was coming out. Right. So I've known Lamar a long time, and then getting a chance to talk to also his position coaches, not only through college, but also when he came up here. All of them have said so many great things about him. Getting a chance to work with him, not only from a physical aspect, but from a mental aspect. He's been able to show that he's been able to move positions in and out all over the field, and also be able to go up after the football. So, it may soon, but we're excited to get a chance to work with a player like that, a man like that.
Braylon Addison, not much needs to be said about him and his skills, but Stephen Dunbar Jr., Tim White really burst onto the scene last year. And obviously you guys have a lot of trust in them and what they can continue to do. But what are you expecting to see from them in year two, having been through a CFL season, having known the game a little bit better? Is it safe to say that expectations will be a little bit raised for those guys?
What I think it's going to be is those guys are going to be a lot more experienced. That was their first year ever in the CFL, and both of them. It's not like and one's from LA and the other from New Orleans, and they didn't see the CFL game. This is the first time they got on the field and getting a chance to see that, not only from the actual physical aspect of the field, but to be able also the conditioning of it. I mean, to be able to constantly run as a receiver up here, very, very different than down south in an 11-man game. So I think they're going to come in a lot more experienced in understanding not only the conditioning aspect of it, but also understanding how the defenses are trying to take them away in particular, and also how they fit into the offensive system. I think the comfortability that they're going to have, not only from the CFL, but also what we do offensively, I think that's just going to be an organic growth to see their leadership just come. They're not just, and I saw that throughout the year, coming in, and they're not to say that they were worried about understanding the plays, but to understand what the defense is doing, what the plays, what their assignment is. Their eyes are going to now probably grow up and grow out and be able to see and contain a lot of information. And then they're going to relay that information to the other players and make sure they're going to grow as leaders. Those are the expectations that we have. And I certainly think they're going to be able to be fulfilled by both of them.
Well said. The offensive line, you get Brandon Revenberg back. You get Chris Van Zeyl locked up. There are some new faces. Alex Fontana, someone who was really excited to be a part of this organization. Joe Benz, you keep going here. Jesse Gibbon. The offensive line, obviously last year, because of injuries, because of different issues, you went through a lot of different rotations. You can't predict injuries, but what can you do going into a season with the guys you have to come out better in 2022 at that spot?
We got to continue to work hard. You got to be able to continue to get the players in here. I know that's not done yet, but really excited about Chris. We've gotten a chance to work with Chris for a while. We have a great relationship and a special one from as the years progress. It's always to get that leader back in there. And as you alluded to with Rev, I mean, that's, Rev and what he has done, Wood Dog, he's a first year rookie last year, and to be able to come in and start and do those kinds of things. And then adding, Mr. Fontana on that, I'm really excited about that in the bulk of the interior line, and just excited that not only that, with the guys that have come back and the guys that we've added, and we're going to continue to add. I mean, that's just the way the game is. It's part of the process. We communicate those processes throughout the whole time with the players. Like, this is the process in order to win games. Well, it's also coaching, right? And meaning that this is the process of player acquisition, and it's going to continue to grow. And I'm excited about Alex and also the guys that are going to come in. And we, I'm Joe Benz, Jesse Gibbon. Those guys make the bulk of the interior guys, and excited to have those guys back. And excited to get a chance to work with them. So.
A healthy K. Okafor as well, of course, that we're excited to see back on that offensive line. Let's talk about
Don't forget Travis. Travis. I cannot forget about that guy. I can tell you, he is, the smile on my face to be able to have, K back and also Travis. I mean, Travis, he's a special one. Huge competitor, I can tell you. And he's a pleasure. I don't think there's a day of football that he doesn't love, and he makes those guys around him better. So looking forward to seeing that smile on his face. And when he comes into camp, I'm going to just guard myself because he's going to probably pick me up and just be so excited, We can't forget Travis.
Always easy to spot that blonde head of hair of Travis out there, no matter where he is on the field. Let's talk about your backfield. You got JB taking charge of the running backs coach, and you also have 3 returning faces in Don Jackson, Malik Irons, and of course STE. Again, the development year to year. There's expectations with those guys. They have experience there, but what are you hoping to see out of them in 2022 that maybe not that you didn't see in 2021, but they're hoping to build on this new season?
I think the group, JB's got a great group again. He had a great group last year with the receivers, and now, he's going to have a great group working with the running backs. With those guys, with Don's always an exciting guy to be around. He's energetic. He brings a lot of passion and energy with it. So excited to have him, not just from his playing, but to be able to do the things that he does in the locker room and on the practice field. It's fun. It's fun to be around him. Wes, excited to get him back. He didn't get a lot of time last year. One was he got obviously injured. We had, in the beginning we were just with the ratio, we couldn't play an American back. And then we finally got a chance to be able to have that American back, and we're able to put him in there. Then we got hurt. So excited about Wes. He brings a whole load of things on there, not only from his physical running, but also to be able to come out of the backfield. And then the guys that we have also with Erlington and Irons back. I mean, we know what those guys can do. They've had success in the CFL continually with Thomas Erlington, with the things that we do in and out of the backfield with him. And then Malik, I mean, shoot, we can all remember Calgary and his ability to run the football. There is no doubt with Malik, he can run downhill and those kinds of things. And he's actually got really soft hands for a big man. You'd be surprised, So, with those guys.
Yeah, when we caught up with Malik, he was doing his firefighting school. So maybe he comes back a couple extra pounds of muscle carrying all that equipment out there in BC.
That's good.
Yeah, right. To that point, we were talking about this with Coach Washington. He said this is time where coordinators bunker down and they put on their mad scientist hat, and we see the whiteboard behind you. You might just scribble something down and go from there. But what kind of homework do you give the players? Is it just the playbook and, hey, learn this backwards and forwards? But what's that like with the players during the season? What are you allowed to do? But just take us through your relationship with the players right now.
Right now, it's about understanding where they're at from the conditioning, if they need anything, questions, and also establishing a better and productive relationship and strong lines of communication. I think that's we understand that's one of our pillars, and always thinking, we, not me in that regard. And if we're going to make one of our pillars a commitment to great communication, then we've got to be able to show that. And part of that is in the off season, to establishing those strong lines of communication and getting a chance to know those players better and understanding what they're going through, not only from a physical aspect of getting their workouts in and those things that they're doing and making it, but also what's going on them in their lives, and seeing what also that we can improve the things that from a meeting standpoint. And it was a little different last year, obviously, because all the COVID things that we had to go with, but what can we do? How can we be better teachers? That's the stuff right now that I think is important, to establish those strong lines and also be committed to the pillars that we have here as an organization.
Well said. Communication, obviously key, and it's great to communicate with you today, Tommy. Thank you so much for connecting. I appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure. I'm telling you, Louie, it's always a pleasure to see you.
Always appreciate the chance to get to talk football with guys like Coach Tommy and Coach Washington, who joined me earlier, and I thank them for their time. And I thank you, the listener, the loyal listener of this program. Thank you so much. And I don't mean that literally. I mean that to you personally. If you are listening, I give you a sincere thank you. And whether you're from Fort Worth, Texas, or Orangeburg, South Carolina, or Stony Creek, Ontario, or Hamilton, Ontario, or Calgary, Alberta, wherever you're listening to this show, I sincerely thank you, because you're the reason we keep doing this, and we could not do this without your support. So thank you. Thanks so much for tuning in. We are back next week for the Ticats Audio Network. I'm Louie B. Hoping you have a great day.